No one knows where Dean Keller came from. There are rumours, as there always are. Some claim he was born in Terra, others say the slums of Angeli. Some say he came from a family of military pilots to explain his aptitude in flight. Others summarise that his family must have been shippers based on his keen knowledge of shipping practices. Still, others think he was born on quarterdeck, hence his violent temper. The man himself did little to validate any of those theories, generally acknowledging every origin presented to him as the truth. The first confirmed fact occurred in Banshee system. Caselli police responded to a frantic emergency call reporting an attempted robbery in the zone's temporary hangars. When they entered the hangar, they found the caller bound and unconscious at their feet and a 12-year-old Dean Keller trying to figure out how to fire missiles at the sealed hangar doors when police managed to gain access to the ship and subdue him. According to the police report, he didn't go down without a fight, setting the tone for the life that he was about to embark on. As he bounced between juvenile detention centres, the judges who oversaw his cases tried to view the young boy's behaviour as adolescent rage, as something that could be conditioned out of him, a viewpoint that he loved to exploit. By the time he was 17, Keller had 7 convictions for violent crimes, and the advocate courts were running out of patience. There was one thing that Keller always displayed genuine affection for: ships. He would scour the spectrum looking for any text or specs he could find. In the aftermath of a particularly brutal riot in the Kiritov Youth Rehabilitation Centre, instigated by Keller, the judge finally consigned the young man to a stretch on quarterdeck, hoping that a prolonged stay on the prison world would change his ways. The man that walked off quarterdeck was indeed changed. Abandoning his quick temper and thirst for the high of adrenaline, he had become a professional. Keller picked up work as a block runner and sometime enforcer for the LEGO crew, a network of smugglers. The work put him in the cockpit for the first time. To say he took to it naturally is an understatement. The LEGO crew enjoyed an explosion of success, amplified by the fact that Keller spent his free time hunting the crew's rivals, compromising their ships so authorities could catch them. Meanwhile, an interesting phenomenon was occurring elsewhere in the UEE. While Cathcart had always been the definition of a lawless system, a cluster of neighbouring systems had not passed assessment for terraforming, so the UEE did not claim them. It was in these unclaimed systems that a lawless community was growing. While Spider was the de facto capital, the system at the centre, creatively named Nexus, was fast becoming a rival hub, generating speculation that they were trying to organise an independent government. While the UEE kept an eye on the systems, the inhabitants were generally keeping to themselves. By the time Dean Keller came to Nexus, he had built quite the resume. Responsible for ultimately killing the LEGO crew after a difference in opinion over the group's direction, he bounced from syndicate to syndicate, executing assassination contracts to accrue more and more ships, building a rather extensive bounty along the way. But it wouldn't be his past that landed him in the archives of history. It started with a disagreement over ships. Keller had been laying low for several months in the NKZ section of Spider. While drinking in one of the seedier establishments, Keller struck up a conversation with another customer. It wasn't long before Keller grew frustrated with the man, who refused to acknowledge that Anvil's latest line of manoeuvring thrusters were basically the previous model but with a different paint job. The disagreement quickly escalated from there until Keller executed the patron with a pair of shots. Still seeing red, Keller had yet to realise that he had made 2 colossal mistakes. First, one of the foundational rules of NKZ was no killing. Failure to comply meant you had a landing zone full of enemies with full authorization to kill you. Second, the drunken, intractable customer that was bleeding out into his drink was an undercover advocacy agent. A thoroughly corrupt one, but an agent nonetheless. The other patrons in the bar went for their weapons. Keller opened fire. He battled his way to the landing pad and launched in his modified Hornet, but his bad luck was just getting started. A team of advocacy agents were embedded in the system, building a case on their corrupt colleague, so the entire argument and murder had been recorded. They made a move on Keller as soon as he took off. Now, Keller had to deal with the law, along with the pirates who chased him from NKZ. The resulting battle, eventually dubbed Keller's Run, spilled over into 5 systems and ultimately drew over 3 dozen participants from both sides of the law. The longest running conflict took place in Nexus. Keller had hidden in the asteroid belt between Nexus 3 and 4 and was engaging in hit-and-run tactics against his pursuers. Even down to energy weapons, Keller managed to hold out for nearly a day, killing or incapacitating nearly 12 ships in that span. During one of the lulls in the battle, Keller pulled off what would become his most publicised move. Keller landed his ship in a large asteroid to perform hasty field repairs when a group of bounty hunters managed to locate his signature. They quickly covered any tunnels large enough for a ship to escape before making contact and attempting to negotiate surrender. Keller prolonged the conversation, using the delay to abandon his own ship and EVA over to one of his would-be captors. Completely unseen, he boarded the other ship and tossed the pilot out of his own airlock before opening fire on the baffled bounty hunters. Finally, it wasn't an advocacy agent or a criminal who ultimately took down Dean Keller. It was a civilian. Anna Flynn had joined the brawl shortly after it spilled into Nexus. A former soldier who had fallen on hard times, she managed to track and engage Keller after he had slipped away from the roving search parties and made a push for the jump to Tyrannus. The duel lasted 27 minutes until a well-placed ballistic round pierced the laminate and ventilated Keller in the chest. Flynn was able to claim the bounty, a financial windfall that would help her get back on her feet. Meanwhile, security analysts within the UEE were troubled by the inefficiency of their forces to organise en masse in the lawless system. A motion was made to reclaim Nexus and divide the cluster of lawless systems with a lawful presence. Many have wondered whether the last stand of Dean Keller cut down a second human political system, but one thing was for sure: Keller's run would capture the public's fascination for decades to come.
I am French and sophisticated. I am also French and also sophisticated. Let us go on a date. Neither of these people are French or sophisticated. It was me doing a funny voice, as well as showing the horrors of dating online and what happens if you accidentally catfish yourself with two of your own accounts. But French people don't talk like that even. No one does. NordVPN can make you appear to be in France, but it doesn't make you French, as I've now found out. It can be used to improve security or give you more accessibility to the internet. I can watch all my favourite shows. Get yourself NordVPN today in the links below and maybe be a better version of yourself. Now that's shilling for you. Every month we have a Star Citizen ship giveaway, and March is no different. We have a Crusader Industries Mercury Star Runner. This multi-crew, multi-role, cargo and data running ship is my favourite ship in the game. It has loads of little smuggling holes. It's got a good amount of armament. It can do a little bit of everything in the game at the moment. To be in for a chance of winning it, just comment on any of my videos made during March. More details in the description below. Please consider liking, subscribing, and potentially even clicking that join button under my videos to help further support the channel. Share the videos around with your friends and family. You'll occasionally get exclusive videos, posts, and polls that help influence the channel, along with emotes and badges to show your support. It really does help. There's also a Patreon and direct donations tool for those inclined. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you have a great March 2022!